I was still recovering from surgery, shoulder reconstruction after a bad bike accident. My arm was in a sling, my painkillers were kicking hard, and I had one shot at getting to the follow-up appointment on time. If I missed it, they'd cancel procedure to remove the nerve block, and I'd be stuck waiting another month. Permanent damage wasn't off the table. It was Monday, 7 a.m. The sun was just beginning to light up the frozen streets of Minneapolis. Snow from the night before glazed everything in white. I could barely move one arm, and public transportation was out of question. So I did what everyone does. I booked a Lyft. The app showed my driver as Stanley, 4.92 rating, gray Honda Accord. He pulled up right on time, engine idling in the cold. I hobbled down the stairs of my apartment building, buzzed from painkillers, arm aching with every step. "You go to the Riverview Clinic, right?" he asked as I slid into the back seat. "Yeah, that's the one." I double-checked the address I had typed in. All correct. The first 10 minutes were normal, quiet. Stanley wasn't chatty, which I didn't mind. But then, the car made an unexpected turn. I think you just passed the exit," I said, blinking through the haze. He didn't respond, just kept driving. "Hey, sorry, but the clinic's on North Riverview Drive, not south. This isn't right." He slowed down in front of a worn-out house with a slanted porch and dead grass. Pulled to a stop. "This is what my app says," he muttered. "Ride's over." "No, it's not," I said, holding out my phone. "Look, you stopped at the wrong side of the street. It's North Riverview. The app must have glitched." He shrugged. "This is where the ride ends. I have other passengers lined up." I could feel my pulse spike. "I can't get out here. I'm barely mobile. This appointment is critical. If I'm late, they cancel it. Please, just drive me the rest of the way. It's like 8 minutes more." He checked his phone. "No can do. System says it's completed. I've already accepted my next ride." "Please," I said, "you don't get it. I can't call another Lyft in time. I'll miss the appointment. I can't take a bus. I'll pay you in cash." He paused. His eyes flicked up to the rear-view mirror. I saw something shift in his expression. Annoyance? Amusement? "How much?" $20, I said, pulling the bill from my coat pocket. He stared at it for a beat. Then, without a word, he put the car in gear and started driving. I exhaled, relieved, but that relief didn't last. Instead of taking the direct route, Stanley took side streets, slower ones I didn't recognize. "Why are we going this way?" I asked. "Traffic's bad," he said flatly, "but I checked Google Maps. The main roads are clear. Can you just take the regular way?" "Please." He didn't answer, just kept driving, eyes forward, silent. The car suddenly felt too quiet. My good hand tightened around the seatbelt. It wasn't just a detour. It was how he looked in the mirror. Like he was watching me, not the road. Like he was waiting. I opened the app to share my ride status, but the app said the ride was completed. I couldn't track it anymore. Couldn't report anything in real time. The signal flickered. My phone glitched. I started to feel trapped. "This doesn't feel right," I said, my voice shaky. He didn't even blink. "You can let me out here," I said suddenly. "I'll figure something out." He kept driving. I repeated myself, louder this time. "Let me out." I said, "Let me out." Finally, he pulled over about 2 blocks from the clinic. I got out before the car even fully stopped. My legs nearly gave out under me. I didn't look back. I sprint hobbled the rest of the way, got in just as they were calling no-shows. They took me back, got the nerve block out just in time. But I was shaking the entire time. Afterward, I tried to file a report. The app only let me leave feedback in a 200-character box. I explained the wrong stop, the refusal to drive me, the detour, how I felt unsafe. An hour later, I got a canned response. "We're sorry about your experience. You won't be matched with that driver again. Here's a $5 credit for future rides." That was it. No apology for dropping me at the wrong place. No concern about the weird, silent detour. No mention of the $20 I gave him. I walked home that day. My arm hurt. My nerves were fried. but I couldn't bring myself to get in another car. It's funny. People always say taking a Lyft is safer than walking alone. But I'd take my chances on the street over sitting helplessly in the back seat of a car I can't get out of, not knowing where I'm being taken, not knowing if the person behind the wheel really plans to drop me off. I never used to believe those stories people told about driving for Lyft at night, the weird ones, the dangerous ones. I do now. It was late. Just after 11:40 p.m. My shift had been dead quiet, and I was about to head home when a request pinged in. A pickup just outside the city, near an abandoned industrial zone in eastern Baltimore. The streets out there always felt like ghosts were hiding in the cracks. The name was Milo. No profile pic, 4.0 rating. I should have canceled, but I didn't. I pulled up in front of a shuttered convenience store with a flickering neon open sign, even though it was clearly closed. The wind carried scraps of trash across the cracked parking lot. A man stepped out from the shadows. He was tall, almost too tall, and wore a strange long coat that swayed with his movements. It was matte black, with what looked like faded pink velvet patches across the shoulders. I figured it was a fashion thing, or maybe just filthy. He didn't say a word as he got in. "Hey, Milo?" I asked. He didn't respond, just sat back, face shadowed except for a crooked grin that caught in the dim overhead lights. The smile looked stretched, unnatural. The second he shut the door, the smell hit me. Rot, sewage, feces. I gagged, instinctively rolling down my window. The stench flooded my throat, thick and sour like something dead had been rotting in the sun for days. I coughed hard. "Hey man, what the hell is that smell? Is that you?" No answer. He laughed quietly, a dry, hoarse chuckle that made my skin crawl. I glanced in the rearview mirror. His eyes were bloodshot, deep, glassy red. He was staring into the mirror, directly at me, still grinning. "Just keep driving," he said, voice barely audible over the hum of the engine. Then, without warning, he pulled something out of his bag. A phone. He turned on the flashlight and pointed it at himself. The light exposed his chest, bare pale, smeared with dark, cracked sludge. Symbols, writing, drawn on his skin in what looked like mud or something worse. He pulled open his coat slowly, never breaking eye contact with me in the mirror. I swallowed. My pulse thundered in my ears. "Look, man, I don't know what kind of thing this is, but I don't want any part of it. You need to get out." He ignored me. He was peeling dried pieces of the gunk off his chest with one hand, and with the other, still holding his phone, he raised it like he was filming me. Then he barked, loud, the kind of sound that made me swerve. "Have you ever been to a chamber night?" he screamed. I froze. "What?" He leaned forward slowly, that grin widening. "It's where we go to shed the skin, to crawl back into what we are. You're driving me to the door tonight." My hands were shaking. I pulled up the app, trying to end the ride. It was frozen. "I'm pulling over." "You need to get out," I said, voice tight. A red light stopped us. Without another word, he laughed, howled, and bolted from the car, slamming the door so hard it echoed. He ran across the road and disappeared into a tree line behind a construction site. Gone. I sat there, stunned, for maybe a full minute. Then I opened the back door, not knowing why. A horrible mistake. His backpack was still there. I stared at it like it might move. I should have left it. Should have just driven away. But something compelled me. I unzipped it slowly, one-handed. Inside were several pieces of clothing. Ripped jeans, shirts, all smeared with what I knew wasn't just mud. The smell confirmed it. But that wasn't the worst part. Tucked into a side pocket was a spiral notebook. Water damaged, pages stained. I opened it. There were sketches, diagrams, symbols like the ones on his chest. One page had a detailed labeled drawing of a man with no skin, kneeling in a circle made of bones. Another page said in big block letters, "Third host must bring the offering to the chamber." The word host was circled multiple times. I threw the bag out onto the road, drove home with the windows down. Shaking. I showered 3 times that night. I washed the seats, sprayed everything with bleach and lemon cleaner. It didn't matter. The smell lingered for days. I reported the incident to Lyft. I wrote the whole thing out, every detail. All I got was a canned response. We're sorry to hear about your experience. You won't be matched with that rider again. That's it. Nothing about the backpack. Nothing about the symbols or the screaming. I stopped driving after that. Can't bring myself to take another fare.
If I hadn't looked at the license plate, I'd be dead. It was 11:22 p.m., downtown Chicago, freezing rain slicing sideways down Wabash. My phone was dying, 4%, and the last CTA train had already pulled out. So I did what most of us do now, ordered a Lyft. I was coming from a friend's art show. Nothing weird, nothing wild. Just wine, indie music, and awkward compliments. But that night ended far from normal. The app said driver Ray. Silver Nissan Altima. Plate, K83 1914. 5-star rating. Over 2,000 rides. Looked clean. Reliable. Car pulled up to the curb less than 2 minutes later. Right make. Right color. I didn't check the plate. I should have. The guy looked just like the profile picture. Balding. Mid-40s. Dark puffer jacket. He leaned over and unlocked the door before I could even reach for it. "You Caitlin?" he asked, smiling. I nodded. "Yeah." He didn't say much as I got in, just tapped the navigation and drove off. The moment we left the downtown lights behind, I started to notice little things. The route on my screen wasn't the one he was taking. The map showed us heading west. My apartment was southeast. I cleared my throat. "Hey." Lyft says a different route. "Is Wabash backed up?" No answer. I tried again. "Excuse me." He didn't even blink. Just kept driving. His eyes were locked on the road, hands tight on the wheel. The dashboard lights made his face look pale, waxy. Now my stomach turned. I tapped the help button in the Lyft app. It spun. Froze. 3% battery. I pressed the lock. My phone screen went black. Great. I sat forward. "Sir, can you pull over? I need to call someone." His hand flicked the lock button. Click. All doors locked. That's when I looked at the glove compartment. Something was scratched into the plastic. Rated 5.0 in jagged pen marks, repeated over and over like tally marks. My chest tightened. "This isn't funny." I said, "Pull over." He didn't. He just whispered something. I leaned in. "What?" This time louder. "They all leave 5 stars." Goosebumps climbed my spine. I scrambled for the window control. Nothing. No sound. The buttons didn't work. I started yelling. "I swear to God if you don't let me out." Then he slammed the brakes. We weren't on a road anymore. Just cracked pavement behind some kind of old shipping facility. The area looked gutted, dead, no streetlights, no cameras. Just empty buildings and chain link fences. He turned in his seat, eyes shining in the dim. "You're not the first one to report the wrong route. They always get confused. GPS glitches." My heart thundered. "Let me out." He reached slowly toward the glove box. I reacted on instinct. Threw open the door with my shoulder, popped the handle from the inside, and tumbled out. My knee scraped the pavement hard, but adrenaline made it meaningless. I ran. No streetlights. No clear roads. Just rain, dark, and the sound of his car door slamming shut behind me. He didn't yell. Didn't chase. Just walked, calm, like he knew something I didn't. I spotted a yellow street sign in the distance. I sprinted toward it, feet slipping on wet concrete. Turned a corner and saw Salvation, a 7-Eleven glowing like a lighthouse. I burst inside, panting, drenched. Clerk looked up. "You okay?" "Call the cops," I gasped. My Lyft driver, he locked me in the car. Took me to some place, I don't even know where. "Please just call." Cops came 10 minutes later. I gave them everything, the name, the car, the app. Here's the thing. They ran the plate. It didn't exist. There was no Ray in Lyft's driver database. No silver Altima matching that name. The account was deleted mid-ride while I was still inside the vehicle. I pulled up my ride history once I charged my phone. No record of the trip. Just a blank gap between 11:22 p.m. and 11:58 p.m. Lyft support emailed me the next morning. "Thanks for reaching out. We've escalated your concern. For your safety, you won't be matched with that driver again." I've never used a rideshare alone at night since. Sometimes, late at night, I think about the scratches in his glove box. Rated 5.0. All I can wonder is, how many didn't get out?
I never take rides from anyone off the app. Ever. That night was the one exception. And I've regretted it every day since. It was early spring, just before the clocks jumped forward. Cold enough to see your breath, but warm enough to think twice about wearing gloves. I was finishing my weekend bartending shift at a rooftop lounge in Midtown Atlanta. The kind of place where influencers drink $18 cocktails and leave without tipping. I clocked out at 2:48 a.m. My legs were killing me. My phone was at 6%, and I just wanted to get home. My apartment was only a 10-minute walk, just across Piedmont Park. I'd done it hundreds of times. Normally, I take the lit-up sidewalk that wraps around the dog park and the main street. But that night, I was tired. Too tired to weave through the crowd of post-club people and late-night vendors. So I took the shortcut. The park path. No streetlights. No people. Just trees, shadows, and silence. About 2 minutes in, I noticed them. 3 guys, young, drunk, and loud, blocking the path, laughing too hard at nothing. I slowed down, considering turning back, but it was already too late. They'd seen me. "Hey, you lost or something," one of them called out. "Just trying to get home," I said, keeping my voice even, my face neutral. "You scared?" another asked, stepping closer. My fingers gripped the pepper spray in my pocket. I didn't say a word, just kept walking, fast but not panicked. They didn't follow, but they didn't make it easy to get past either. One even brushed my shoulder as I slipped through. Once I was clear, my heart was racing. I just needed to get out of the park. Just a few more blocks and I'd be home. Then headlights flashed behind me. A white Prius pulled up beside the curb. The window rolled down. "You okay?" the driver asked. Mid-30s, clean-shaven. Wore a gray hoodie with the Lyft logo on it. The inside of the car glowed soft pink from LED lights on the dashboard. "Yeah," I said cautiously. "I saw that whole thing with those guys. Looked sketchy. You heading somewhere nearby?" I nodded. "Just a few blocks. I'll walk. Hop in. I won't charge you. Safer than walking at this hour." I hesitated. I still had my app open. No ride requested. No confirmation. But my phone was dying. I had 3%. The guys were still back there. And it was cold. So I got in. Stupid. The heater was blasting warm air. A soft indie playlist was playing on the speakers. For a second, I let my guard down. Maybe he really was just being nice. "Where to?" he asked. "Birch and 10th, I replied. He nodded and started driving. About 3 blocks in, I noticed something weird. He passed my street. "Hey, Birch was back there." "Yeah," he said casually. "Just need to loop around." Except he didn't. We kept going. Past a red light. Then another. I sat up straighter. "Where are we going?" He didn't answer. I tapped the screen on my phone. Still alive, barely. 1%. I opened my maps, trying to get a pin on our location. "We're not near Birch," I said. His jaw clenched. "I know." I froze. "What do you mean, you know?" He took a left down a dark, empty road. Warehouses lined the street. No people. No cars. I looked at the dash. No lift screen. No GPS. This wasn't a ride. Pull over. I want to get out. He didn't say anything. My heart slammed against my ribs. Pull over right now. He finally slowed. Stopped at a dead end. There was no reason to be here. Why'd you lie? I asked, voice shaking. He turned slowly toward me, resting his hands on the wheel. I wasn't lying. You said you were scared. I just wanted to help. This isn't helping. He stared at me for a long beat, then looked away. Something shifted in his face. Regret? Guilt? I don't know. Finally, he put the car in reverse. I'll take you back, he said softly. He drove in silence. We got back to Birch and 10th. I threw the door open before we fully stopped. My legs were shaking. I turned to look at him one last time. He said nothing, just stared straight ahead. I slammed the door and sprinted into my building. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I opened my app history. No ride recorded. No driver listed. There was nothing. No trace he ever picked me up. Later that week, I reported it to Lyft support. Gave the plate number I vaguely remembered. They responded that no such driver was currently active on their system. Nothing came of it, but I remember the car. The way it smelled faintly like cinnamon and old leather. The warmth of the seat. The playlist. And the silence. That kind of silence never leaves you.